Can I ask for silence, thank you? And usually when I do this, one of the first things to do is for everybody, and I'm going to do first, is to take your own phones and to please put it on silent, thank you. Just spare these few seconds, take your phone and take it out, please, because one phone's going to go off and you'll be the highlight of the wedding. So please do it right now, thank you. Also with children, if there's any children that are unsettled, if I could ask you to take them just outside, give them a bit of fresh air, bring them back inside. Thank you. I'll have silence, inshallah, for the next 12 to 15 minutes. That will be the maximum time with which this whole function will finish. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, wa salatu wa salamu ala sayyidina wa nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Firstly, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah's peace and blessings be with us. May Allah's peace be with those who are here as Muslims and those who are here as non-Muslims. This ceremony here is a ceremony of Nikah. And what we've just done over there is that I've got the permission of Nimi Rove, who has signed the document and who has accepted her part of the marriage. So we've got Abdul Munim Bari here to accept his part of the marriage, and once that's done, both of them will be wed. So Abdul, you're 50% of the way there. Half the way there. You're half married right now. It's the only time in your life you're going to be half married, so cherish this moment. What I'm going to do here, I'll quickly explain to you. I'll give you a brief talk about the actual nikah, which will be about 7 minutes. Thereafter, I will recite from the Holy Quran, and these are the very words that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ used to recite. After that, I will be then officially asking Abdul Munim Bari for his acceptance of the proposal, and thereafter we will get the signatures done on this piece of paper, which belongs to the masjid, and thereafter we'll have a very short dua, about 2 to 3 minutes, and that will conclude our entire ceremony. So to begin with, for all those who are here, marriage is a very sacred thing. It's one of those laws of God on the earth that has been prescribed for a very long time. Allah calls the male in Arabic, in the Quran, Allah calls the male a half. Allah calls the female a half. Both of them are halves. And what they need to do is, they need to come together, and both of them need to become a whole. Now you think, well, that's a bit strange. We've had Nimi as a whole for her life up till now, and we've got Abdul Munim also, who's been a whole. How can both of them come together and make a whole where both of them are wholes? So wouldn't that be 2 wholes together? Well, you're right. But what marriage teaches us is, and this is a core part of marriage, is to understand how to understand the other, to know what to give up. Marriage is not about getting what you want only, it's about giving the other half what they need. That's marriage. If marriage was based upon our own rights and what I should get from God, what God should give me, then what would happen is, I don't think there would be anyone married on the earth, because we'd all be having a tug of war. We'd be saying, well, this is my right, that's my right. We'd be having separate bedrooms, separate houses, separate plates, separate rooms and closets and so on, and that wouldn't be marriage. Allah has made marriage a part where both understand how to give up. What's happened up to now is that Abdul Munim, and this is advice I'm giving not only them, but I'm giving you free advice for those of you who are listening as well, so you might as well run away with this advice. Abdul Munim has spent a life on his own, and he's independent with his own ways and habits, and so is Nimi. Both of them have to now understand how to keep each other happy. And that means Abdul Munim will have to give certain things up. And so will Nimi. What parts they give up is a mutual relationship. They will understand this through the many, many days of marriage. Marriage is a serious matter because it's not for 1 day or 2 days. It's not a quick, honeymoon relationship and let's see what happens. If it's all well, we'll stay inside there. If it's not, we'll just move out. No. God gave responsibility with marriage. That's why one of the verses that I'm about to recite now, tells us about the arham. What does that mean? Well, that means the womb. Allah has talked about the womb in the first verse of the marriage itself. Why? Because the womb is a sacred part of God's creation. Through this, there are going to be children that are going to be born. Children need to be nurtured. They have emotions. They have their own sense of understanding. And me and you put together will not be able to give them what a mother and father will be able to give them together. That is why God's told us and He's warned us to be careful of taking that womb in one's possession. Because today it might be enjoyment, tomorrow it's going to be responsibility. Not only does Abdul Munim have to look after Nimi, Nimi has to look after Abdul Munim. Abdul Munim and Nimi, both of them will look after each other. And what will happen is that the children that will come into this marriage, they will have to be looked after, both of them. It's not the responsibility of just one of them to look after the children. Now, as marriage proceeds, today is a wonderful day. We're all having a wonderful meal here. Everyone's dressed nicely. All the reds and the flamboyant colors you see here makes you feel really nice. But can I ask a question here? If there is a person who is married and who has been married for more than, let's say, a few months, if you've never had an argument with your wife, could you please put your hand up? Yeah? You've been married? How long, sir?
6 months.
Sorry?
6 months.
Just a few months. Come on, lad. Yeah? Just a few months, yeah? Give it a few more months, yeah? Is there anyone else that can put your hand up? Enter the Guinness Book of Records? Never had an argument with your wife? Yeah? Right. That proves it. Arguments will come about. Differences will come about. But it's not about having the argument. It's about how you conduct the argument. It's about how you control yourself. That is why in marriage, in Islam, we are told to understand ourselves and to reason with ourselves more than reasoning with the other. One of the great things that the Prophet used to do, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he used to open a speech, he used to say, "Oh God, I seek your protection from the evil of myself." Now listen to these words. "Oh God, I seek your protection from the evil of myself." What that means is that the evil within ourselves, which is the evil of the ego, can be the worst enemy one has. Apart from the other enemies you have, the ego can be the worst enemy if you don't know how to tame it. Of course, once you know how to tame that ego, once you know that, marriage is a wonderful, wonderful life. And in that, why do we get married? Well, God has told us in the Quran. He has told us marriage is for procreation. And those children that we're going to bear, those children will become a means for us to enter Jannah and paradise in the next world. We're supposed to raise these children as a gift from God and as a trust that God has placed on our shoulders. And to bring them up and give them good teaching, good understanding, good morals, good behavior, and also teach them religion. If we're able to do that and bring them as good citizens of the place they live in and the life that they share with others, God will reward us for this. And not only that, just as maybe 20-something years ago, Abdul Munim and Nimi both had their parents give birth to them. And that was a burden on their parents. Soon, Nimi and Abdul Munim, both of them would understand and truly appreciate Allah's words, رَبِّ ارْحَمْهُمَا كَمَا رَبَّيَانِ صَغِيرًا. Oh my Lord, have mercy on both my parents, just as they nurtured me while I was young. This is something which is the cycle of life. And we will understand how to go through life in sharing responsibility. Yesterday's time is over. Time of me being a person who has got little responsibility in my life. Today, the responsibility will be taken over by Abdul Munim and by Nimi with their own lives. And I want to give a piece of advice here. To all the family members who are here, please remember, let's ask whoever's got the controls to the, I think it's already quite loud. That's what's causing it. Stay. and that wasn't the trick. If you just turn something down, it will... I'm just going to carry talking, so while I'm talking, if you just see what you can turn down. Thank you. The responsibility that they've got, they will understand together how to share things with one another. But most importantly, what they will do is, they will learn how to get close to God, how to get close to Allah Azza wa Jalla. This is one of the beauties of marriage, is to get close to Allah through this marriage. Now the advice I'm going to give both of them is, to my brother Abdul Munim, to my sister Nimi, please be Muslim. What that means is, please submit yourselves to Allah. If anything arises tomorrow, if you have Allah as your first, that you love and you listen to, if you have the messenger as the second whom you love and you listen to, there is no problem in some rainy days in this wonderful blessed marriage of many sunny days. There is no problem. You will know how to deal with your problems. But if you come first, if your ego comes first, if her ego comes first, then what's going to happen is that you will have a rocky path to this marriage. May God forbid that. I ask all of you, and this is another advice I want to give all of you, is the two families that are here. I ask you, and I know it's a Bengali family, and I'm a Bengali as well, so there's no embarrassment in me saying this. I'm going to ask you, please, to see Abdul Munim and to see Nimi as people who are independent. Many times in the Bengali, Pakistani and Indian culture, what happens is that the pressures placed by parents, by grandparents, by uncles, by aunts, is the very factor that starts the breakup of the marriage. I'm going to ask you all to allow them to find their own space. If they have a problem, let them deal with it. Don't get into it. Unless they ask you as an arbitrator to come in between. Leave them to it. Give them a lot of joy and happiness. Keep them smiling always. That's your job. Keep them smiling. Give them gifts. That's your job. Always ask the best and find the best thing in Abdul Munim and find the best thing in Nimi. That's your job as family members. Your job is not at all, at any moment, to criticize or to find fault. It is their job to deal with their faults, but your job to continue to appreciate what they are as a couple. And if they ever need, they'll come to you, or they'll go to an imam, if they ever need to find out how to deal further with their marriage. And together I ask all of us, and I hope, inshallah, that in the next life, Abdul Munim and Nimi will get remarried once again in Jannah, in paradise, and we all look forward to that, to our own marriages as well. With that, I'm going to conclude my short speech on the marriage itself, and I'm going to continue with the Arabic which the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to recite.